Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Monday Motivation Podcast. No more excuses. This is your host, Sandy Ballard. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for Beth, listener Beth, longtime client, for letting me know. Obviously, I shuffle my papers when I'm recording this. And so I don't always listen, or I'll just test it and I won't listen through to where I hear the paper. So appreciate that. Shame on you for none of you for emailing me and telling me, but hey, I will not do that today. Thanks for connecting with me on social media. Taskmaster Sandy on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Growing Forward Success Coaching for Facebook and Twitter, SL Ballard 13. I hope you all had a great week. For us here in the U.S., we celebrated our Independence Day July 4th on Wednesday, so it was sort of that weird in the middle of the week holiday where some people took off the whole week, part of it just Wednesday, or if you're like my daughter who's working in retail, you did not get any time off at all. I have had a really full week of client meetings in person and in phone calls. Committee meetings, prepared for a team building event where I actually am flying out today to Seattle. So it's just a really full week, but a great one, and hope yours was as well. It's always ironic how the client conversations tie in with the weekly theme or the past couple of weeks. And the last couple weeks we're talking about environments, self-care, so being kind to yourself, boundaries. It was great to hear my clients talk about how they had big successes with delegating, saying no, or just, that's not in my scope. And it's, and being okay with saying that, finally speaking up, creating those boundaries and those expectations. And the realization that some expectations you weren't, they put on themselves. And the ones they had weren't the best, so another solution was created by standing up, by saying, and this is figuratively, enough is enough, right? So, an environment, clearing out the unnecessary clutter, the shit you don't need or no longer serves a purpose, right? And it's exciting how that feels, how just, the one client I talked about last week, how just driving up in her driveway, it was just like stressful. And now she's rocked it for the last week about, cleaning out, just the weeds in the yard like I need to do. Just cleaning out a bedroom that just becomes the shit dump and just making it feel good, opening up that space. And another one was just cleaning out stuff in the garage that she hadn't looked at for 2 years, right? So, you can only do so much. And I have one friend who's single mom. Her son just came back from college, and she's learning that she just had put the expectations on herself that she had to do it all, and she was burning herself out. It's why I try to tell people, you got to step off the hamster wheel before it becomes the crazy train. But it's hard. It's hard to recognize that sometimes when you're surrounded by all these bullshit expectations. During one of my small groups, and I know at least one of you is listening, we were talking, I was talking to one of my clients, and she was sharing about all her successes and her revitalization and boundaries and, her big aha moments. And one of the things that came out of it is you're not doing anything when you're overwhelmed by everything. Think about that. Write it down. You're not doing anything when you're overwhelmed by everything. So pause this podcast for a moment and just take that in. Let it sink in. And last week, I asked you to review your year, how it's going. Regardless, you have 6 months left. So you can either kick it into gear no matter what. If you had a great year, step it up. So let's get on it. I had one new client. She said she hadn't looked at her goals since March. And I asked her why. And she said, literally shit has gone sideways in her house, has some plumbing issues, and she's been distracted, depressed, and she's like, there's no way I'm going to achieve my goal now. She had a big financial goal. And, it's not completely, but, I said to her, how can you just not give up on it? That's one of the big things or reasons why I have you review, especially in June. And now that it's, July, you review, adjust, and start kicking ass again. So what will it take versus just giving up? Wouldn't you rather get as close as possible instead of staying where you are? Wouldn't you rather be able to say you did your best, thank you again to Beth, versus you tried as hard as you could, or no, not versus, but you want to say you did your best and you tried as hard as you could. So now that you have this, now that you've reviewed your goals, right? I asked you last week how it was going and why. And this week I want to know one thing you're off track on and what you can do to get as close as possible versus chucking it in, right? So that way when you get to the end of the year, or you get to, maybe you have a deadline. I had a deadline of July 12th to upload my book to Amazon, to CreateSpace, where I publish my books. I wanted that by July 12th, and it's not going to happen. And I know why, because I haven't gotten the books finished edited yet, and I haven't gotten the photo done because I had been distracted with other things the first half of the year. So I'm not giving up on it. It's just the date is going to move. So perhaps you had a specific date, or it's the end of the year. What's one thing you're off track on, and what can you do to get as close as possible? All right. We still have 6 months in the year. There's still so much you can do to work towards your goals without giving up. Okay. Email me, sballard@growingforward.biz, B-I-Z. Post here. Connect with me on one of the social medias. Direct message me. Just do everything you can to not give up. And if you really feel lost and like you can't, then schedule the session. All right? I want to hear from you. Again, what's one thing you're off track on, but you're going to still adjust and get as close as possible to finish. All right? Have a great week. I look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.